then we can be honest about where we're at, about what this plan is meant to do. And so if we can do that, and we kind of pair that up with constant conversation about this, with saying that, hey, if we are going to go down this road and we're going to have these plans, we're going to talk about them all the time. I'm not going to hand you the plan and come back in 6 months and see if you check the boxes. Hey everybody, welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts, quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I am the founder of Forward Partners, and I am joined as always by my partner in podcasting, Emily Grace Deal. Emily, what are we talking about today?
We got a question today.
Okay, let's hear it.
I've now had multiple employees who I've had to put on performance improvement plans. None of them have improved and are all now gone. What am I doing wrong?
Okay, so a couple things. This is not unusual, first of all. Like most of the questions we get, it is not an unusual problem. Second of all, the understanding I think we need to have, and this is, I will say up front, a personal opinion. If you disagree with me, lab@forwardpartners.net. I think performance improvement plans are a joke. I think, first of all, we need to be honest about what they are. Mm-hmm. Is this a plan to help this human being grow and get better at something? Or is this a list of boxes that we need to check to fire them? What is it?
Yeah.
And the problem is often it is just a list of boxes we need to officially check to say we are good to fire this person. And if that's what it is, that's okay.
Right.
But the problem is when we look at that list of boxes we're checking to fire somebody and we think it is going to help them improve, that's where we go wrong.
Right. If it just becomes a formality
Yes.
at the end of the line.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think first is that honesty. Am I just trying to get rid of this person, or do I genuinely want them to improve? Mm-hmm. Because if I want them to improve and I want to get rid of them, those are two wildly different things. And those two things require different solutions, right? And so I think we start by going, okay, what should a performance improvement plan be? And I think one of the things we talk about all the time is a culture of growth. Part of that is kind of an ingrained understanding that we are all on a performance improvement plan. Mm-hmm. Our definition of thriving teams, right? The last piece is we focus on growth
and impact.
Growth and impact. We've had so many episodes in this last series about this basic idea. Mm-hmm. The thing is, there should be no shame in a performance improvement plan. If we are all on a performance improvement plan all the time, it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah, because we also talked about in the past that it's more of like it can become where it's like, we don't have to check in right now because we have that performance improvement plan or whatever coming up in a few months. So we'll just save it till then. Yeah. Well, if you worked with them now, what could you change in that time instead of waiting? Yeah. Or waiting till it's bad enough that you do have to just have the formality.
And that's usually where it lands, is it gets so bad that, okay, we have to have this official thing now. And so ultimately, if we are all on a growth path all the time and we are talking about that and communicating about that all the time, that is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. So that is what a performance improvement plan should be. It's a growth plan. And it is not something that should only kick in when someone is underperforming. Right. It should be part of the culture. We are all growing all the time, and there's no shame in that. Mm-hmm. Part of where performance improvement plans go wrong is there's shame involved. There is, hey, human being, you suck at this.
Or we're just like trying to fill it out the day before because it's a requirement.
Yeah, and we're just trying to get it done, get it out there.
Yes, and so then it's not accurate. Well, everyone can feel the inaccuracy of it, and then everyone feels bad.
Then it's not helpful.
Right.
But there's so much shame that gets built up that we don't talk about it, right? I had an incident one time with an organization we were working with where they put a person on a performance improvement plan. This person shared that with literally nobody. Nobody except their supervisor knew they were on the plan. Mm-hmm. That means nobody could support them. Nobody could step in and say, hey, this thing you're struggling with, I'm actually really gifted at this. Can I help? Right. This person was so ashamed they didn't even tell their wife. The performance improvement plan didn't help. They end up getting fired. So then they get to go have a conversation. Not just I was fired, but I was fired, and I've kind of seen this coming for like 6 months.
Right. I wasn't blindsided, but you are.
That's a whole different scenario, and it's the shame that held them back from sharing that, right? Yeah. And so I asked him, I said, I'm sure HR will say no, but is it okay for y'all to publicly share your performance improvement plans? To sit with the team and say, hey, this is not a bad thing. Carl over here is on a performance improvement plan. Here's the area he struggles with. You're really good at that. Can you pair up with him and walk with him through this process? Are we agreeing here as a team that we're going to work with Carl, we're going to support him, we're going to give him everything he needs, we're going to hold him accountable? Are we all in on that? Carl, are you in on that? Yes. Are we in on that? Yes. Now we're working on something as a team. Now it is not this individual shame-filled thing that has to be walked alone.
You're setting them up for more success.
Absolutely. And it is the group. And so again, if everyone in that group is also on a plan, it's so much easier to talk about. And so ultimately we have to kind of view this as a growth plan paired with, ultimately you do need kind of an ultimatum, right? You do need hey, this is not a performance improvement plan. This is the boxes that if you cannot check these quickly, you're gone. And I'm sorry, but you are.
Right.
Right. And calling it for what it is. That is a whole different thing. And so those two things married together, where you have this performance improvement plan constantly married with, hey, if we get to the point of an ultimatum, I'm going to hand it to you and we're going to talk about it and hopefully have some honest conversations to say, hey, we've been working on this. We've been growing. We're all on these plans. We're moving. You have remained stuck. Is this the right environment for you? Is there a better place? Can I help you in that transition to make it as smooth as possible if it needs to happen?
Right, because we're all growing and should be all
Yes.
growing.
Yeah.
And so then if we're all on that path to better and someone else is having a hard time, then we're
Yes.
able to help them and know that it exists.
Yeah. If everybody is talking about these things, that help is there. And if you are still unable to grow, despite all of that, a change of venue is probably good. That's good for everybody.
Right.
And so we're going to have that conversation.
And we have lined out that the conversation will happen. You're not
Yes.
blindsided.
Yeah. And so I think just separating those two things out helps so much, because then we can be honest about where we're at, about what this plan is meant to do. And so if we can do that, and we kind of pair that up with constant conversation about this, with saying that, hey, if we are going to go down this road and we're going to have these plans, we're going to talk about them all the time. I'm not going to hand you the plan and come back in 6 months and see if you check the boxes. We're going to be talking about this plan on a weekly basis, on a multi-times a week basis. We're going to really work on this. I think that really genuinely has a chance to make a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
And without that, I think people remain stuck. I think they end up not improving. They end up fired. And again, if that's the right thing, it's fine. But let's be honest about where we're at.
Let's make sure we tried.
Yes. Let's not call it a performance improvement plan unless it is genuinely a plan to help them grow.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to help a lot. Leaders, let's talk next steps. If you have seen this pattern over and over again, let's stop and be honest. Is this just a list of things that you need to check to fire them? Or is it a genuine growth path? And do you have your entire team on this growth path? Is everybody moving forward together? When we can make that culture a reality, it becomes so much easier to get people unstuck, to make sure they are not trapped, just sitting there by themselves, languishing. And so ultimately, let's have those two separate things, a growth plan for everybody so there's no shame involved. And then ultimately, there are those ultimatum conversations, like, here are the boxes. You are not checking them. And I need you to, because if you don't, you're going to go. And I want to make that transition as smooth as it can be. We're going to do it with empathy. We're going to do it with grace. But we're going to have to do it if we can't meet this. Separate those conversations out. See if it doesn't make a difference. And then communicate about them constantly. All right. If anybody wants to send us any kind of thoughts, any kind of questions, any disagreements, if they love a good performance improvement plan and it works for them 100% of the time, if they want to send that to us, where do they send it to?
To lab@forwardpartners.net.
lab@forwardpartners.net. If they want to find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, where we're producing all kinds of leadership content, where do they find that?
@ForwardPartner.
@ForwardPartner.
Yep.
Thank you for this conversation. John, thank you for producing Porchlight Productions. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing this with fellow leaders. We will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.